So, I'm sick in bed. I'm really not going online very much. And I'm vaguely aware that Mario and Luigi Brothership is dropping soon. And, I'm bummed I can't be a part of it. I'm not playing any video games for a bit. But, I'm happy it's coming out. It's so messed up right now. I've made many videos talking about how I think it looks so good. Perfect, amazing. It just looked absolutely perfect. So I was rather disappointed to see early previews coming in, and then eventually reviews going out, and then the game coming out, and just seeing there's a lot of drama surrounding the game. Just a whole lot of different opinions going around, and you got the IGN review score. Oh no, they gave it a 5. You want to believe that as a society we can advance and just as a gaming community, maybe someday we can just be better than certain things. But it seems that arguing over IGN review scores is never gonna stop. Treating a 5 out of 10, it might as well be a 0. That's how people treat it. It's a 5. That's a medium. There should be more 5s. It means there's a lot of good and a lot of bad. Anyway, it just seems that there are a whole lot of people who have various problems with the game, and it's a bummer. And I haven't played it. I don't know when I'm gonna play it. I think Nintendo they sent me a copy of Mario Party, so if they send me one, I think I might play enough to do an impressions video. I don't see myself having the time or the energy to really play the whole game anytime soon. There's just way too much going on. But at least for now, I kind of just want to talk about the drama and the problems that people are having. To start with something very minor, apparently Luigi, all the other games, you control Mario with A and Luigi with B. And they made it so that now in the menu, you use A to select Luigi, and then you switch to B to do his moves. It's definitely a small detail, and it's probably the one that wouldn't take too long to get used to, but why though? Why would you do that? It was so clever. It was so clean and clever and intuitive to have them split between A and B. Yeah, so you're Mario, select with A, attack with A. Luigi, select with A, attack with B. You might as well just had him attack with A. Why did you even split them apart? Okay, so whatever. It's a small thing, but it is one thing. A much bigger problem is the performance. And this is definitely something that a lot of people are not gonna care about at all because, we just had a whole bunch of conversations about the performance of Echoes of Wisdom, and I would call that fairly dramatic. Those frame rate drops were really, really obvious in my eyes, really detrimental to the gameplay. And even then, you get some people, plenty of people saying they don't even see it, they don't even catch it, and that's fine. Really, seriously, very happy for you if that's you. I'm just using that as a comparison to say Mario and Luigi, it's way more subtle. It's the kind of thing where I'm watching footage and I feel like I'd have to play it myself to get a real feel for it. Because I can see it in the footage. It's at 30 and it has these little random choppy drops. It's it's a frame pacing issue or something. It's just these little tiny hitches. So it's you're gonna get even fewer people who even notice it, but it's still the kind of thing that's gonna bug me. And it's also just another thing where it's why? Why though? This game, I think it looks good artistically. It definitely doesn't have the kind of technical shine as a lot of other first-party Mario Nintendo games. It does look a little on the cheaper side, and so you would hope that would mean it would at least run well. I think looking the way that it does, 60 would make sense. But at the very least, a consistent 30. But it looks like this, and it runs at 30, and it has frame pacing issues. Is just very disappointing. And then apparently, load times are really bad. I've heard people say that even like after a battle, like there's like a little load going into a battle with some games, but then like to have to load after a battle too, there's like a pretty decent chunk of load, just like wait time to transition back to the real world. I have to see it for myself to really know, but that sounds really, really aggravating. And speaking of wait time, this is the one that scares me. And again, I have to remind you and myself, I gotta play it for myself to know. But if I have one singular problem, really big problem, with Mario and Luigi games, it's the pacing, it's the stopping you, it's the hand-holding, it's the explaining, it's the anytime there's a little mini game, they spend so much time telling you how to do it and making you practice it that it totally takes me out of the game. And it sounds like this game is not any better, and if anything, is worse in this department. Or maybe it is the same, and maybe it's just been so long since a new Mario and Luigi has come out that you're getting a lot of reviewers, on these major publications. They've never even reviewed a Mario and Luigi game. Maybe they haven't even played one. And so to them, this is just not okay, even though it's kind of normal for the series. Whatever the case though, they're just talking about the gameplay just halts. It just stops you. It stops you. It's dialogue, it's tutorials, it's hand holding. And it's definitely scary. That's the stuff. I mean, dialogue, sure, as long as the dialogue is good, but then that's another problem. People are saying that, like, the dialogue and the humor and even the story is just really not that good. And I really can't say anything about this. I'm definitely going to keep an open mind going into the game because, I mean, I don't know, my sense of humor is different from most other people's senses of humor. So, like, I don't know how I'll take the game. But again, it is at least disappointing to hear that so many people are disappointed with it. They think it's just not very funny. And the story's not very good because that's one of the biggest reasons we play these games. The stories are good and the humor is good. It just, you want to see it through to the end because it's just so enjoyable to see it all play out. And yeah, you also get people talking about how it's just too long. I guess probably because of all this other stuff, because of these pacing issues, it just feels like it drags on too long, especially at the end. And like, I don't know, I could see that. I have felt that way about other Mario and Luigi games, even ones that I enjoyed. Sometimes they do kind of feel like they drag on. So I don't know, and I will admit, it's making me not want to play the game anytime particularly soon. And that's a bummer because I was so looking forward to it. But just hearing that people have problems with it that I have had with the previous games, it's, I don't know. I do want to play it and I want to see what I think about it. But I need to be in the right mindset and it needs to be the right time. If I like I said, I might play like a little bit for an impressions video. But if I'm really going to play it, it's not going to be now. It's not when I have a million other things on my plate and I'm trying to catch up with work. That's just a recipe for me hating it. I need to be able to like be patient and give it time and all that stuff. Yeah, it's definitely a bummer. It's I stand by my assertion that the game looked perfect. On the surface, just like the raw materials, the stuff that they show in the trailer, I still think it looks perfect. And it sounds like this just might be an issue of execution. It's the world looks great, the story setup looks great, but if it's true that story just is not executed well, they don't utilize the characters and the concepts well enough, well then, there you go. And no matter how much cool stuff is in the trailer, if there's also a bunch of like annoying hand-holding tutorial dialogue stuff, then there you go. That is inserting something into the game that, what I'm saying is, it's just funny how you really can't always judge a book by its cover one way or the other. In this case, it's funny how I can look at these trailers and see what could be perfect, but then hearing how it's not perfect. I mean, it really is all over the place. Nintendo Life said it was like the best Mario and Luigi ever, or something like that. And then other people are saying it's just an absolute humongous disappointment, especially after waiting so long since the last original one. Like, this really is like, this was the series' big chance. And I don't know, I'm fascinated by this idea that you can watch a trailer for a game and it looks like everything you want, and you play it and it is everything you want, or you can look at a trailer and it looks like everything you want, and then you play it and you're like, yeah, it could have been, but they just didn't stick the landing. They just did it wrong. They had all the ingredients to make the pie. They had a great recipe, but then they just messed it up. This is a bummer. I mean, really, any food, you can look at the food and it can just look really delicious. It can look really fantastic. Just the whole presentation looks really great. But until you put that food in your mouth, you don't know what the texture will be like. You can guess. You can guess what the texture will be like, but you won't know. You can guess what the flavor will be like. You can imagine, but you really don't know until you chew it up and swallow it. I will chew up and swallow Mario and Luigi Brothership at some point. I do not know when, but I'll give it a shot. I really will. I hear the combat's good. Hey, it's got that going for it. I think everyone, that's something that I would have bet money on. Like, just looking at the footage, you can tell. You can concretely tell that's good combat, and they never disappoint in the combat department. So I'm glad that worked out. At least everyone pretty much agrees, like, well, yeah, the combat's great, except for like the battles that drag on a little bit too long or whatever, but like for the most part, it's good. So that's good. See, and that's why you got a 5 from IGN. You got a bunch of bad stuff, but you got really good combat. That's a perfectly reasonable 5. Don't get mad at IGN for giving it a 5. That's more than fair. Also, additionally, just as a reminder, review scores are stupid. Don't pay attention to them.